Welcome to this day in history radio on Flip TV, and I am your host Lara. As we all know, our focus for today is going to be on February 24, way back in history. I read, on this day in 2010, President Umar Yar'Adua um, returned to Nigeria after staying in Saudi Arabia for 3 months due to health reasons. After a 93 days absence and being away from presidential duties, President Umar Musa Yar'Adua returned to Nigeria, but his health condition remained unclear as there was still speculations that he remained on life support machine. The country's political elites were consumed by a power struggle. The vice president, Goodluck Jonathan, had been reshuffling ministers, pledging to tackle power shortages and forging ahead with the amnesty for militants in the oil-rich Niger Delta. All of this happened in Nigeria way back in history on this day. In 1995, American businessman Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple Inc. and a charismatic pioneer of personal computer era was born on this day in history in 1955. In 1981, Buckingham Palace announces the engagement of Prince Charles to Lady Diana Spencer. The ceremony was a traditional Church of England wedding service. Alan Wester, Dean of St. Paul's, presided at the service, and Robert Rusi, Archbishop of Canterbury, conducted the wedding. Now, notable figures in attendance included many families of other royal families, Republican head of state, a member of bride's and groom's families. After the ceremony, the couple made the traditional appearance at the balcony of Buckingham Palace. The United Kingdom had a national holiday on that day to mark the wedding. Oh God, when? On my wedding day, it's gonna be a national holiday. Now, the ceremony featured many ceremonial aspects, including use of state carriage and role for the food guard and household cavalry. Their wedding was widely billed as fairy tale wedding and the wedding of the century. It was watched by an estimated global television audience of 750 million people. Events were held around the Commonwealth to mark the wedding. Many street parties were held throughout the United Kingdom to celebrate the occasion. The couple separated. Ha! Story that touch. The couple separated in 1992 and divorced in 1996 after 15 years of marriage. Oh la la, with all the celebrations and all and the paparazzi and everything, they ended up separating. That is so sad. We move on about the history of nylon. You all know what nylon is, right? Let's talk about the history. Invention of nylon as a material. You can be unaware of how the revolutionary nylon was when it first hit the market or the tragic story behind its creator, but nonetheless, let's take a deep dive. Now, in the mid 1930s, several DuPont chemical scientists, led by Wallace Carothers, were secretly slipping their names into the history book through a prototype polymer known as Fiber 66. Now, his team originally set out to research commercial application of polymer and they are large building block molecules that are now used in everything from tennis shoe to CDs to character company made by combining a particular chemical called hexamethyldiamine, a crystalline substance that easily bonds with acid and now they then pulled strands from the concoction and spun them into plastic thread using a process called cold drawing. 3 years later, DuPont produced facilities production facilities were capable of spinning up to 12 billion pounds of stuff annually. Now, the company initially tested nylon in toothbrush, but eventually focused on tapping the women's market. You know, women, we like wala. Anything and everything we will buy and use. Now, nylon hit the market, though nylon was first synthesized in a DuPont chemical laboratory on February 1935. It didn't become available until 1940. Now, when it did, it was in form of stockings, and women across the US flocked to the department store to get their hand on the pair. Women's stockings were all in the rage in the late 1930s, but in the post-depression America, the high price of the silk they often made from I'll take that again. I'm sorry. Women's stocking were all in vogue in the 1930s. So when the relatively cheap nylon stockings hit the shelf, demand shot through the roof. Demand shot through the roof. Now, nylon, as we know them, brought in £9 million for DuPont in 1940 and £150 million in today's dollar. Now, despite its widely successful first year, DuPont shifted nearly all of its nylon production from the consumer market to the military in the 1941, and the United States entered the second. Now, Allied focused using the material for everything from parachutes to mosquito nets, but by then, fashion trend had already spurred such high demand for the stockings that when consumers couldn't get their hand on them, a black market emerged. Now, some women even resorted to painting their leg in an effort to capture the look of a nylon on it. Wow, women. Now, nylon stockings no longer inspire. Yes, we no longer use them. But then, nylon as a material is arguable is something we use every day. And the likes of toothbrush, way back, umbrella, fishing line, winter gloves, kites, dog leashes, dog collar, guitar string, children toy, racket string. All of these are made from nylon. These are sampling these are just few out of numerous things that are made out of nylon, and consumers have Wallace Carruthers and his team at DuPont to thank for this. That was a long read. Okay, we move on to National Day. The first National Day celebrated today is the Floating Lantern Festival. Um, it is on the 15th day of the first month of the Chinese calendar, and this year it's actually falls on the February 24th. Floating lanterns are traditionally Chinese light made of paper or oiled silk designed to release onto water side or into the airway. Now, lanterns that are meant for water are called floating lantern and water lantern, while those that fly up in the sky are called sky lanterns. Now, the lamp are all decorated with paper shapes, usually animal or Chinese character. Now, a lantern is made of, we know what a lantern is. I don't need to go into what a lantern is. Now, people also believe that letting lantern float onto lakes, sea, rivers, water well will bring fertility to the land because of water spirit welcome them with happiness. Now, it is said that around 3000 years ago in the Han Dynasty, Emperor Ming emulated Buddhist monk who lit lantern every 15 years for in the Chinese years. He ordered lantern to be lit in the palace, temple, and houses to show respect for Buddha. Now, in another legend, the Jade Emperor, a god in Chinese myth, wanted to burn down a village for killing his favorite crane. Now, his daughter felt pity for the villagers and told them about it. Then a wise man advised them to hang up and light a lot of red lantern to make it look like the village is already burning. Wow, that person is really a wise man. Now, lastly, today is also said to be the Sweden Fin Day, which falls on February 24th, and we're giving the Finnish speaking Swedes a voice. This is a special day, and it's all about honoring their language, culture, and position as a respected and beloved community within Sweden. Immigration between the two countries had a very long history, particularly in northern border region. However, a more considerable immigration occurred during the World War II when 70,000 young Finnish children were evacuated to Sweden, while around 15,000 are thought to have stayed and unknown number returned as adults. Today, there are approximately 500,000 Finnish-speaking Swedish in the country. And that is that about that on this day in history. Join me for another a beautiful episode tomorrow. Happy weekend, everyone.